This is the original GoPro HD Hero. I'm calling it the Hero 1 today for simplicity versus the GoPro Hero 8 Black, its latest and greatest. Now, I'm Ben from AuthenTech, and today's video is just for fun. I thought it'd be kind of cool and interesting to see how far camera tech has come over the years. Now, to put it into context, the release date of this HD Hero was early 2010. That was Haiti earthquake days. Now, the Hero 8 Black was the end of 2019, so that's close enough for a decade. I'm calling today's video a decade of difference. No, this is not the very first GoPro ever created, but I believe it was their first HD camera, and huge shout out to my brother for letting me borrow it. Now, without further ado, let's jump right in. It's pretty funny as we compare things. On the Hero 1, there was no touchscreen, no previewing your shots. Very old school menu system. I literally needed to use their user manual to interpret the codes and change the settings. Its battery actually still holds a charge, so that's impressive. The size of the battery is pretty funny to compare. Inside is 1100 milliamp hours versus the Hero 8's 1220 milliamp hours. Pretty funny, we've only gone up 120 milliamp hours in 10 years. The Hero 1 used mini USB to charge, and we finally have USB Type-C on the Hero 8. The 1 needed regular size SD cards. Now we have micro SD cards on the Hero 8. Oh, and if you're wondering why I taped the Hero 1 to my camera rail for the side-by-side, this is because the waterproof case that I have, it will have messed up the audio test a bit, and there's some small scratches and scuffs on the cover, which I want to make sure I was capturing the very best quality image out of this old thing. Starting with some photography, snapping a few shots, the Hero 1 has a 5 megapixel sensor, the Hero 8 has 12 megapixels, which I also shot in its super photo mode. Firstly, that color temperature and RGB on the Hero 1 is pretty awful, and funny, it has that antique look to it, like it was shot on an old Polaroid camera. The Hero 1's resolution honestly isn't horrible when we're zoomed all the way out in some of these shots, but of course the dynamic range looks better on the 8, and its better sharpness and clarity becomes a lot more apparent when we digitally zoom in. One thing I do respect is how wide angle the original Hero 1 had. I think it has a 170-degree field of view, which is crazy wide angle for an old camera. And maybe this makes sense why GoPro took off in those beginning days, because this ultra-wide lens helps capture all those action sports really well. And the small cube-like shaped camera could fit inside your pocket. It's never really seen before. Now, speaking of form factor, can we have a little laugh how their dimensions of these two cameras is almost the same after 10 years. Now, leave an F in the chat for the Hero Session. I love that compact cube design. In these video tests, this is where things get fun. First, the max video resolution on that HD Hero 1 was 1920 by 1080p, 30 FPS, and here's what that looks like. On the Hero 8, this is 4K 30, and it's interesting to see and analyze the differences between 10 years of technological and camera sensor advancements. The 4K looks so much better and sharper. The Hero 8's colors have that nice vibrancy pop to them, while still maintaining a semi-accurate white balance. The noise grain and compression of the Hero 1 is pretty dang rough. It's fun to see how far we've come with dynamic range. The bright sunlight contrasted with dark shadows here under the trees. We're able to see so much more detail in the tree bark and the leaves and the branches on the Hero 8. Going for a quick jog, and this test doesn't make me want to bash the Hero 1 for its shakiness and wobbles. It's revealing what the true unsteadiness of that selfie stick looks like. But wow, just look at the Hero 8 and it's pretty dang insane to watch the background horizon staying super steady, and that Hypersmooth 2.0 is really impressive. And this is an audio test, audio on the GoPro Hero HD Gen 1, and this is the GoPro Hero 8 Black. Audio test 1, 2, 3, 4, how does the audio sound and compare? Audio test 1, 2, 3, 4, how does the audio sound and compare? Let's live AuthenTech. Let's live AuthenTech. It's nice to see the advancements we've made with wind reduction, like here on the Hero 8. It's doing a good job filtering out all that ambient noise so we can more clearly hear my voice. It's actually kind of funny, there were some audio clips on this Hero 1 that I couldn't even hear my voice over the wind. Original GoPro HD Hero versus the GoPro Hero 8 Black. To change the camera settings on the Hero 1 makes me extra grateful for touchscreens nowadays. I needed to find that original user manual in order to interpret its menu settings. Also funny, the video resolution menu codes were permanently printed on the back of the GoPro. Here's R4, which is 1280 by 960. It was almost like GoPro's Super View before it was a thing. It's an even wider shot, and I believe it's squeezing more vertically into camera frame at the top and bottom of the screen. Funny enough, I actually think it's wider angle than the Hero 8 here in Super View mode, but of course the Hero 8 has way better stabilization, so it's probably cropping in on that sensor for that EIS, which by the way, that stabilization is looking pretty smooth for that ultra wide angle. When I jumped on my cycle board for some fun action shots, I'm just so thankful how far we've come with electronic image stabilization, smoothing out so many bumps and wobbles, enhanced clarity at 4K resolution. To be producing these kind of shots on a small action camera with no gimbal needed really opens up a world of creative storytelling. And yes, I've gotten a lot of questions on this cycle board rover that I'm riding around. I made a whole review on it and it's crazy fun. I'll give you that link if you want to check it out down in the description. Now we can't forget a slow-mo test, and while the Hero 1 didn't really have slow motion, the max frame rate available was 60 FPS. And here's what WVGA looks like. 848 by 480p versus Hero 8's 1080p 240 FPS. Thank goodness for advancement. Now GoPros have always been pretty terrible in low light situations in my opinion, and I'm a little surprised and impressed with these low light photos on the Hero 1. For super low light, it actually does an okay job. The Hero 8 in low light mode has gotten much better though at reducing noise and improved dynamic range. Very different story in low light video, and to be honest, I kind of messed up and forgot to change the video settings back to normal HD, so this is what WVGA 60 FPS looks like in low light, but it's still funny to compare and see this is what you get for a decade-old camera. Unusable, blurry mess, while the Hero 8 looks soft and grainy, but at least we can make out some details. It's a little bit closer to what my eye can see. So a friend on Instagram, Harry Ty, suggested a fun idea. Let me try editing a Hero 1 shot and see how good can we get it. Now I'm not that great at color grading, but here's a sample photo with a little bit of balancing of color and a tad of sharpening applied. The Hero 1 shot can look a bit closer to the Hero 8 and a tad better overall. Video is much harder, and here's a little bit of color grading trying to match the two, and the Hero 1 looks a bit similar, but when you're dealing with heavy compression and lower resolution, there's just a lot less data in the file to enhance and work on. It's like what my old video professor once told me, you can't polish a turd. Now I thought it'd be fun to see what stabilization would look like with some auto trackers, and they surprisingly did a fairly okay job. This first one is the built-in Final Cut stabilizer, and with all the settings turned way up. The second one is a plug-in from Pixel Film Studios, and it's pretty cool with lots of customization. Like in this clip, I told it to track and stabilize my face, and it's doing a pretty good job at keeping me center of frame. But then we can also try tracking a different data point, like this background object, and it'll stabilize and lock onto that subject. It's kind of cool. There was no hyperlapse or built-in waterproofing or even replaceable lens covers. Oh, just joking, the Hero 8 can't do that either. So this was kind of fun to see how far we've come in a decade of action cameras. Now we have 360 cameras and modular action cameras. I want to hear what you guys think. Where will we be in 10 years? What do you think the future holds for action cams? Is it way better stabilization or insane low light capabilities? What about 8K resolution at 120 FPS? Consider sticking around for some more fun action camera videos I have in the works. I post every single week. Thanks so much for stopping by, and until I see you next week, let's live AuthenTech.